Hey, good morning, Sumit on this side. So this is our sixth video on this series, and first of all, I want to say thank you to everybody who has either followed, subscribed the channel, or also commented, and also gone ahead and upvoted my posts on Reddit and elsewhere. It's really lovely. It's been quite a few days now that I am focusing on this, and it's lovely to share the journey and also like being able to tell people this is something that is now within the reach of everybody. Like we can create quality code. I'm trying out multiple tools at the same time. By the way, people have suggested like Replit. I've used it before, but I've not been using them like recently because I switched to Cloud Code or Gemini CLI, and I really like them. But yeah, I'm going to, for the sake of everybody, because there are so many tools and lots of people are using different tools, plus some of these tools may be easier to get started with than say Cloud Code on your terminal and etc., like all of that tooling. So I'm going to create videos also on these tools, so yeah, please watch out for them. And then I want to get back to what we were doing. I wanted to show what we finished yesterday. So we did this. We also had this ticket where the whole point was to create installer. So there would be an installer for each operating system, each major operating system. I have not gone ahead and checked the installer. I will do that in short while we take a pause in this video. But I want to show you two things before we take the pause. So first of all, we have now these automated tests. Now even I do not understand some of these things, as in I have not gone through and read, and that's the whole point of, I think, what we are entering this era of vibe coding, is that what we are trying to do is we are trying to use existing software engineering principles. So I didn't codify these. I just asked Claude like, hey, create automation around good checks, right? And that's about it. And this is running on GitHub, not on my computer. They are running automatically. I got a few bugs here, by the way. I copy pasted a bunch of bugs. I can show it to you. There was a lengthy conversation. And yeah, I kept getting bugs. Yeah, so there are a lot of these CI/CD pipeline errors, etc., etc. And then I figured out one thing, which is quite stupid, that I copy pasted these errors. So I asked, hey, can you please simply check them through the GitHub API or the GH command, and that's it. That like GitHub, so Cloud Code just has access to either the API or the command, and all of these things that I was copy pasting. So I was going into these, clicking, whatever got stuck. So these are all green ticks, but they would be red, I think, exclamation marks or something like that, when they fail. And when they fail, I would go in, I would copy paste. But you don't have to do these things, because you can simply ask Cloud Code to access these tools, and that's fantastic, because it'll go ahead, it'll check, it'll do the right thing. So what is it doing here? Like I said, some of these are just industry standard checks. I don't, like I said, like for front end, for back end, for Golang, for TypeScript, I don't even know like quality checks or tests that they're running. They're checking for builds, like is it actually generating the output that we need, the actual software output, etc. So I'm not even looking into what it is doing. I'm just relying that this code that is there is going to run every time, and it's going to do some of those basic checks that I'm already used to in my traditional software engineering mode. But like I said, the whole point is to not use that mode, not to intensively check everything, but to rely on AI to do the right things. And here the best thing is that these checks, by the way, don't need AI. That's the beauty of this. These checks don't need AI. They use traditional tools without AI. They check your code, they check the quality, they check the syntax, the formatting, etc., etc., and that's already a great place to start. So now moving on to the next step, so first of all, by the way, I'll merge this. So this is just my standard workflow. By the way, I also thought that maybe I will not use this Git based workflow, because it's adding extra burden maybe in this video series. So maybe from now on we don't need to, or maybe in the next project I won't, and I will kind of tone it down even further to something that's even more easy to start for everybody. But for now, let's look at what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is that now we have this issue that I created. So the download manager for Hacker News data. So this is the actual download manager that we are going to create. If you remember, in the second video, we created the entire thing with UI, everything in just one go, but it was entirely in the browser. That was not going to work out very well when we have tons of data, other download managers. So not just Hacker News data, something else, and managing that data somewhere, putting it somewhere that you want centrally stored on your computer, etc. That was not the case. So now we are doing it a little more exhaustively, extensively, so that we can make sure that these features are there. So this is something that I've thought through. This is, like I've said, you still need to think through how to build a house, that analogy of house building, and we are using that process to think through, okay, I need somewhere where this Hacker News data will be downloaded. But yeah, in future I will need other download managers. I'll need data. I'll probably download data from, I don't know, weather service API, maybe even Reddit API. There are so many APIs out there from which you can download data, and then you can view that data on your computer. So I'm just going to use that same methodology of like thinking, just thinking, and create this rough ticket. And then what I will do, I'll ask Claude, and this is the interesting part. I'll ask Claude to break this into more technical tickets, because this was more like my human version. So please understand our current project status, then read GitHub issue number 13, break it into tickets as per our project, mention adding tests wherever they should be. So I'm fairly vague adding tests. I know from, again, from software engineering, that we have automated tests which can be run to check certain things, like is your where you are putting the files, is that location like has it been configured, is the location there, basic things, right? So the software doesn't really break easily. Those kind of checks, I'm being like very wishy-washy here, and that's fine. That very like I don't know, very vague here, and that's quite fine. I want AI to pick it up and to actually go ahead and being able to write some code. So first I create the tickets, then I write code. Like you have seen, I don't write the code, I mean AI writes the code, but it's first to break down the tickets, then I can have an overview of the tickets and see what it is going to do. Let's see if it can do it already, and it'll probably create new tickets. Let's see what it does, and we'll come back. Okay, it seems like most of the tickets have been created now, and we can go ahead and check it. One thing I noticed is that this location that you can see it is adding, it was not there. And this is something that I've seen a few times. It fails, and other AI models would also fail, not just Claude. I'm sure other models would fail. Is that when as the project becomes larger, there is a back end, there is a front end, as you have seen in our folder. There's the front end, there's the back end. There can be scripts, and there can be other things. If that is not mentioned, so when I look at this, for example, implement application layout with navigation, like the basic structure of the UI, right? If this is not mentioned, it may create simply a fresh front end, like a web app or something like that, because it is ambiguous and it's not holding on to that context. This is something that I've seen, like unless your tickets are small, really crisp, really clear, it may start doing something that you didn't intend to. It's probably not doing something horribly wrong, like it's probably going to create another web app, which like it probably didn't also have clear enough context, like am I supposed to create web app? Because remember that when we are starting these tasks, right, many of the times we are maybe starting the tasks when we have gone out of Claude and come back, and some of the context that is in a chat of Claude may be simply lost, and you're coming back, it has to read the current project. So to enable it to be grounded, right, to come back and to read that information again and again, you need to have those things specified, like please check the current project status, right? It'll do that. It'll read the cloud.md files. It'll read your project status. We'll also create, by the way, an architecture.md file. All will be generated by Claude itself. But all of these things help in not making those silly mistakes. So now what I can do, now that I'm happy with the tickets, let's see how many it has created. Oh, it has created a lot. That's nice. That's interesting. So now I suddenly went from 4 tickets to 14 tickets to 17 tickets. Oh, that's interesting. But yeah, just remember that these tickets have been finished. I believe initialize Go, React, RESTful API, endpoints, download manager. Yeah. So this is where download manager starts. So these I can mark, the ones that have been done, I can mark them as completed. So they're not, cluttering my UI right now. And then I can just refresh this. So now there are 14 tickets, out of which this one will not be executed as such, because this is the prod ticket that I created, and then it created these other 13 tickets, right? Now I'm going to go ticket by ticket, create them, and we are going to come back and see the first downloader, right? Just that. Okay, Claude Code has finished the first ticket. This is the UI, and I immediately see there's a bug. So after it finished, it stopped. It said, I'm finished, I'm done. And then I simply copied this, and this is this is the important part. Will, like, when you start building, as you get more and more software, more and more code, obviously things will break. So when things will break, all you have to do is, in some cases it could be that easy, like fail to resolve, whatever it is. I just copied it, pasted it here. I said here was my prompt. I see error, this same thing exactly pasted, and that's it. right? And it's trying to figure it out. Let's see if so it wants to run a command to find in files this. I'm guessing it's just looking for that piece of code, whatever is broken. So yeah, I'm going to give it permissions to do that repeatedly, and then let's see. Okay, it found it. It probably wants to move some file from here to there. That's okay, and it's going to remove, I guess. Okay, seems like it had created UI components, the actual UI components, like we said in ShadCN. Probably it created it twice. I don't honestly know, and like I said, we are going to care less and less about the exact detail of the code and see the output to be running. And here it seems like it has already started to run. Let's see. Okay, I'm also running the front end, by the way, so I'm guessing that it can run it in a different port already. Yeah, it can, because I'm already running it, and that's I'm already taking the default port. It's going to run lint. So linting, formatting, these are just code hygiene checks, I would say. Let it run all of those, and it's great that these are all now structured. See, already it's trying to follow that structure, and this is what I have been talking about. You build that structure slowly over time, because you also need to understand. This is also why, by the way, my way is not to create long prompts. I really don't adhere to that policy of creating really large prompts, really large architecture documents from the get-go, and sticking and like trying to stick to very, very large documents. As you have seen, most of the code that is generated, sorry, most of the these markdown files that have been generated, most of the tickets, they are very compact. I intentionally try to keep it compact because context really matters. Clearness, it really matters. Being able to tell AI like this is what we are supposed to do really matters. Okay, so the UI is definitely messed up, as you can see, but left nav is there, but it's not floating. So we can ask it to float. See, I see the left nav is broken. It should be a fixed column, and nav items should be full width in that column. Let's see if it can fix it. So that's it. That's really all it takes, and sometimes it won't be able to do it, sometimes it will. We will see. And this is the whole point. That's what I really want. Like I'm saying, the main takeaway values from this series that I'm trying to create, and I'm going to post more content, is that there is no easy way, there is no guaranteed way to vibe coding. And no matter what anybody says, there is no guaranteed way to any of this, because LLMs they are not a replacement for us, not yet, right? So if we can make mistakes, and if they are already not of that quality, then surely they can make these mistakes, and that's okay. We got to find those mistakes, we're going to find those bugs and ask it to fix it. If we can have that cycle, that loop, that feedback loop going on really well, that's it. That's a winning strategy already. I'm like, how much time am I spending here? I'm not looking at code. I can walk around, I can get out of my desk, I can do other things. By the way, I already posted on a few Reddit channels and a few posts, etc. So yeah, I have so much free time to do other things. If you're managing a business, you will have time to do whatever else your business actually needs you to do, and then still be able to process, to create software to run the processes that the way you want it to. So yeah, that's already a big win, I'm guessing.